All right, welcome to another deep dive. This time, we're focusing on something a lot of you have been asking about, how to ace that welding inspector interview.
Definitely a popular topic.
Yeah, absolutely. And to help us with this, we've got RoleCatcher's amazing career and interview guides, specifically for welding inspectors.
These guides are really packed with good stuff. Super helpful tips. I think people are going to get a lot out of this.
Yeah, I've been looking through them. They're great, and we'll make sure to point out some of the highlights as we go.
Sounds good.
So before we jump into the interview questions, let's just talk about what a welding inspector actually does, like day to day.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good place to start.
It's more than just looking at welds.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. It's more than just the welds themselves. It's about safety, regulations, making sure everything's up to code, and it's a mix of field and office work, too. RoleCatcher really lays all that out, so you're not surprised down the line.
Yeah, it's funny you mention that because when I think about welding inspection, I do tend to picture like the hands-on part,
Yeah.
out in the field, using all the tools and that kind of thing.
Oh, yeah, there's definitely that aspect. You'll be using things like gauges, maybe even X-ray equipment, depending on the job. But you're also going to be spending time analyzing data, writing reports, understanding all the codes and standards. So it's a real blend of hands-on and analytical
I was going to
skills.
say it's like part detective, part engineer almost.
That's a great way to put it.
But yeah, it's good to be prepared for like all aspects of the job, not just, picturing yourself out in the field all the time.
Totally. And that includes the environment, too. Rollcatcher's Guide talks about how you might be working outdoors, in all kinds of weather, maybe at heights, or even in confined spaces. It's not always the most glamorous setting.
I was going to say it's not always a desk job.
Nope, definitely not.
Yeah.
And, being able to speak to that in an interview, showing you understand the realities of the job, that can really impress the hiring manager.
It's a lot of sense.
It does.
Okay, so let's dig into those interview questions then. RoleCatcher has a whole section devoted to the ones that tend to trip people up.
They do.
We should go through some of those, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So first up, what inspired you to pursue a career as a welding inspector? Seems simple enough, right?
Seems like it, but it's really a chance to show your passion. You don't want to just give a generic answer.
So what would you say is like the best way to approach this one?
I think it's all about connecting with the interviewer, like on a personal level. Tell a story, something that really sparked your interest in this field. Maybe it was a construction project you saw as a kid or someone who inspired you. Make it personal.
I like that, a story.
Yeah.
Because anyone can say, oh, I like working with my hands or whatever, but a story makes you stand out.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
memorable. It shows your genuine interest.
Yeah.
And it makes you more than just a resume.
Plus, RoleCatcher even provides some examples of how to structure your answer. Like, I'm looking at one here. It starts with, I've always been fascinated by how things are made, and welding is such a crucial part of that process. Then you kind of weave in your own experience.
That's a great starting point. And the guide even breaks down a few other questions step by step.
Oh, nice. Okay, well, we'll definitely get to those.
We should.
So moving on, how do you ensure welding quality? I feel like this is where things get more technical.
Yeah, definitely. They want to know you've got the knowledge.
So it's not enough to just say, like, I look at it or I use a tool.
No, not really. You got to go deeper. First, show that you understand the industry standards. Things like the AWS D1.1 code.
Oh, right, because it's not just about your opinion. It's about meeting specific guidelines.
Exactly. And explain why those standards matter, too. It's all about safety, about making sure those welds are strong and reliable. Then, walk them through your process. What do you look for visually? What tools do you use? Mention things like porosity, undercut, any of those common welding defects.
Just you're showing them, like, what to look for and how to find it.
Yeah, exactly. And, RoleCatcher's AI can actually help you tailor your answer even more. You can plug the job description right into their system, and it'll analyze the keywords and skills they're looking for.
Really?
Yeah, so you can make sure you're hitting those specific points. It's kind of like having a secret weapon.
Okay, I'm liking this AI more and more.
It's pretty cool.
So technical skills, check. But I feel like a lot of these jobs, especially in, welding inspection, it's also about being able to work with people.
Oh, absolutely. Teamwork is huge, especially when safety's on the line.
Okay, so I'm looking at another question here. How do you handle conflicts with welders or other team members? The classic conflict question.
It comes up in pretty much every interview.
It does. Because they want to know, like, can you handle a tough situation? Can you stay calm? Can you communicate effectively?
Exactly. And this is where the STAR method comes in handy. RoleCatcher actually recommends this in their guide.
Okay, so remind me, what's the STAR method again?
It stands for situation, task, action, result. So you're basically outlining a specific example of how you handled a conflict in the past.
Could you give me an example of like how that might play out in a welding inspector role?
Sure. So imagine a welder disagrees with your assessment of a weld, right? You could
Hmm.
say something like, once a welder believed his work met the standard, but I noticed an issue with the weld penetration, based on the radiographic test. That sets up the situation and the task.
Okay, that's like the S and the T.
Right. Then you describe your actions. I calmly explained my concerns, showed him the specific area on the radiograph, even referenced the relevant code.
I see. You're laying out like exactly what you did.
Yeah. And then you wrap it up with the result. We were able to agree on a plan to repair the weld and make sure everything was safe and up to code.
Oh, that's good. It shows you can like problem solve and find a solution.
Exactly. And it goes beyond just saying, I'm a team player. It gives them a concrete example of your skills in action.
All right, so that's a good one to have in your back pocket. Let's see. What else do we have here?
We've got more to cover.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Sounds good.
So we've talked a lot about acing the interview itself, but RoleCatcher also goes into detail about, the actual career of a welding inspector.
Right, because it's one thing to get the job, but then you actually have to do it day after day.
Yeah, exactly. And this guide doesn't sugarcoat anything. It gives you a really balanced view of what to expect, both the good and the bad.
Well, that's important. I was going to say, like, what are some of the things they highlight in terms of, the pros and cons?
Well, one of the biggest pros is the job outlook. There's a huge demand for skilled welding inspectors right now, so there's a lot of job security.
Okay, it's good to hear, especially in this, ever-changing job market.
Right. And the pay is pretty competitive, too. Plus, as you gain experience, there's a lot of room for advancement.
Oh, yeah. The guide talks about all the different career stages.
Yeah.
Right? Like you can start as an entry-level inspector and work your way up to, senior roles, maybe even a chief welding inspector.
Yeah, they lay out a pretty clear path for career progression, which is motivating. You can see how your skills and responsibilities can grow over time.
For our listeners who are really into learning and development, that's got to be appealing, knowing that there's like a trajectory.
Right, absolutely. It's not just a job, it's a career.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the good stuff. But like you said, they don't sugarcoat it. What about some of the challenges they mention?
Well, it can be physically demanding. You'll be on your feet a lot, maybe working in awkward positions, sometimes in tough environments.
Oh, right, like we were talking about earlier. Outdoors, in the heat, the cold, all that.
Yeah, exactly. And there's always the potential for hazards, too. Heights, confined spaces, things like that. So it's important to be aware of all that going in.
I was going to say, it's not for everyone.
It's not, but for the right person, it can be a really rewarding career. And I think RoleCatcher does a great job of, presenting that realistic picture.
Yeah, it sounds like they really give you all the information you need to make an informed decision.
Yeah.
Okay, so before we move on to the next section, I wanted to circle back to something we talked about earlier, the AI, like how it can help with your interview prep.
Oh, right. We haven't even scratched the surface of what that AI can do.
Yeah, I'm kind of fascinated by it now.
It's pretty amazing. It goes way beyond just basic spell checking. It actually analyzes job postings, figures out what keywords and skills they're looking for.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah, and then it uses that information to help you optimize your resume, even helps you craft better answers to interview questions.
It's like, almost like it's reading the hiring manager's mind.
Kinda. It's all about speaking the AI's language, because nowadays with so many people applying for jobs, you got to find a way to stand out.
Makes a lot of sense. And the fact that RoleCatcher offers some of these AI tools for free, that's pretty incredible.
It is. Of course, they have premium features too, the video practice with AI feedback. That's really cool. But even the free version can give you a huge advantage.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground, but I think there's one more crucial aspect of interview success we need to talk about. And RoleCatcher actually emphasizes this throughout their guides.
You're talking about the personal touch, right? Going beyond just the technical stuff.
Exactly. It's not just about, giving the right answers. It's about showing them who you are, what makes you unique.
Right, because they want to know if you'll be a good fit for their team, for their company culture.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of people struggle with this,
Yeah.
like how do you stand out when everyone has similar qualifications?
That's the challenge, right? But RoleCatcher encourages you to really think about your own journey. Like, what are your strengths? What are you passionate about? What experiences have shaped you?
Because those are the things that make you memorable, right? It's
Mm.
not just about ticking boxes, it's about telling your story.
That's exactly it. So, as we move into the final part of our deep dive, I want you to keep that in mind. What makes you different? What makes you the best candidate for this job?
Yeah. We'll explore how to actually weave those things into your interview answers next.
That's what we'll do.
All right, so we're in the home stretch now of our welding inspector interview prep deep dive. And we've talked about the technical stuff, the STAR method, all that good stuff. But now I want to focus on, like, how to really make yourself stand out in that interview.
Yeah, it's all about bringing those personal touches, show them who you are beyond just the qualifications.
Exactly. So let's say they ask, that classic question, why should we hire you for this position? How do you go beyond just listing your skills?
Yeah.
Make it memorable.
Well, think about it this way. They've already seen your resume, right? They know your skills, they know your experience.
Right. So it's got to be something more than that.
It is. This is your chance to connect the dots, show them how your background, your experiences, they all fit into this specific role. Remember those stories we were talking about?
Oh, yeah. The ones that highlight like your passion, your problem-solving skills. Yeah.
Exactly. Weave those in. Maybe you've got a background in construction, so you really understand how welds are used in the real world. Or maybe you've led safety initiatives before, so you can talk about your commitment to creating a safe work environment, things like that.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Like instead of just saying, I'm detail-oriented, you could say like, in my previous role, I was responsible for inspecting, hundreds of parts a day, making sure they met really strict quality standards. And that's the same attention to detail I'll bring to this job.
There you go. You're not just saying it, you're proving it with a real example.
It makes it so much more like real and believable. It's not just a list of buzzwords.
Right. And it shows you've actually thought about how your experience translates to the specific role. It shows you're genuinely interested.
Okay, so we've got like the stories, the connecting the dots. What else can you do to make your answer stand out?
Show your enthusiasm. Like, why are you drawn to welding inspection? What gets you excited about it?
Ah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Because, like, if you're genuinely excited about the work, it's going to show.
Oh, absolutely. It's contagious. And it tells the interviewer that you're not just looking for any job, you're looking for the right job, the one where you can really thrive.
It's like, they want to see that spark, that passion.
Yeah.
Because it means you're going to be more invested in the work.
Exactly. So, think about what drew you to this field. Is it the science behind it, the problem-solving aspect, the importance of safety, or whatever it is, let that shine through.
Okay, so to recap, we've got the personal stories, connecting your experience to the role, showing your passion, all great ways to make a lasting impression.
And remember, RoleCatcher's AI can help you refine all of this even more. You can practice your answers, get feedback, really hone your approach.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It's like having a personal interview coach in your pocket.
Pretty much. So as we wrap up, I want to say this. Believe in yourself. You've got the skills, the knowledge, the passion to be an amazing welding inspector.
Yeah, you've put in the work. Now it's time to show them what you can do. And with RoleCatcher's resources, you've got everything you need to ace that interview.
Absolutely. So go out there, rock that interview, and start your welding inspection journey.
That's it for our deep dive on acing that welding inspector interview. Huge thanks to RoleCatcher for their awesome guides and to all of you for listening. Good luck out there.
Good luck, everyone.